Costco magazine welcomes in Touched by Ghoul, almost the whole gang. How are you all doing?
All
Good.
right.
Yeah,
Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
yeah. Congratulations on the new album, Cancel the World. Seems like a very good sentiment for 2021 and 2022. Not without merits. Um, Certainly, if you guys want to just go around and introduce yourself for everybody watching on YouTube land and elsewhere, well, this will run.
Okay. I'm Angela.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Alex. I play bass.
Nice. Hey,
I play
yeah.
guitar.
I play guitar.
of course, of course. As we said, brand new album out now on Under Road Records. It's your second record, kind of after previous bands. Sort of a low key Chicago supergroup for people who. If I was a fan of Pink Frost and other previous bands you guys had, Cybers and things. So yeah, second record. This is a super cool bunch of music, bunch of songs. A lot of bands today they just kind of put out music, and it's who seems to be like in the streaming world, the album is kind of lost its sparkle a little bit. Not to me. I like a whole album. I like a sequenced album. I like a whole listening experience, and I think Cancel the World kind of fits as a whole listening experience, not just a bunch of stuff you guys threw out in the universe. It seems very purposeful and thoughtful, which I like.
Thank you. That's really good to hear.
Yeah. It was deliberate.
Yes. I love listening to an album front to back. So the streaming world is kind of tricky when everything's all shuffled and mixed up.
Yeah, and I this is a weird segue, but I was thinking today a lot about Adele, right? So I don't hate Spotify. I know people like, oh, Spotify doesn't pay anybody. But I think if you get away from thinking about Spotify as a payment platform and as a awareness platform, it's pretty cool. And it's cool that we have all these things. I don't know that they were ever intended to really pay artists. The music industry, unlike other, books and television and movies, don't seem to give everything away for free first. We do. I don't know why. Check out the whole thing before you have to pay for it. It's cool. It's great if you love music. I love music. I'm sure you're all fans too. It's how you came to make music. But yeah, I was thinking about Adele today and that whole Spotify thing where, on one hand, she made like a million, half a million vinyl presses of her new album, which I like Adele, but like, wow. And then on the other hand, she kind of needled them into changing how they run their platform, where now at least it's not shuffle. At least if you listen to an album, you have to go one, track. There's also a thing about that. Some people go to the track they like, and maybe they have to now sit through other things to get to it. So I think it's a weird way to start. But let's talk about the album. Let's talk about just this whole album of songs. And people also used to put out people also used to put out records in the order they wrote them. Like they would like, this is the first track we wrote, is the first track, the first song, the first one we liked, and then we put everything else after. So I don't know, it just feels like a very well, really well, like you said, deliberate's a perfect word. It's a very deliberate, focused, cool bunch of songs.
Yeah. Well, I think like I don't know, we kind of had the name of the record before we even started working on a lot of the material that's on it. It was like it wasn't like really meant to be a concept record, but like, I mean, we came up with the name in like 2017
probably. Yeah. It was like our catchphrase that we were saying.
Yeah. And then
which ended up prophetic.
Yeah. And then like, I remember, I don't know, a few months after we were like, cancel the world. Like it just this very dramatic or like melodramatic kind of, like, oh, my coffee's cold, cancel the world. Like, like this kind of, but then it was like, then we started seeing all this stuff about cancel culture and we're like, oh man, like, this is like, what's going on? But, it's like the cancel the world concept, I guess, kind of just sort of provided the, I don't know, fertile creative ground that we needed to write these songs. It's just kind of like informed the whole process, and then it just kind of ended up, I mean, we finished the record in 2019 and mixed it right in like, I don't know, January of 2020. And then it was like, for real, cancel the world. And we were like, wait a second. We had like all of these songs like lost at the Costco. Like we had all these people like line up all around the block to like buy toilet paper. We had like yacht problems. Or everyone's getting sick on these cruise ships. And not like we made this so, you know, but just like a shitty crystal ball, you know. We're like, what? How did like...
Yeah, it's like one by one the songs were just coming true. We're like, what have we done?
Yeah. Oh man, we're at our practice space right now, and a band just started practicing. Hopefully,
no worries. Yeah, we'll manage. I was like, what is that sound? Is that us? It is us. It's okay. Bands need to listen. I'm glad bands can practice in person. What an amazing thing that we got this far, because the world was trying to cancel us for a long time, and it still is. So, you know, we're the invading species in a lot of ways. Yeah, I felt like listening to these songs, especially lyrically, like, oh yeah, this speaks to me. You know, and you know, regardless of how you feel about things, you know, in a sense, I feel like, you know, we haven't been accountable enough on a lot of fronts. So, you know, I always like to say that cancel culture is really just accountability culture. And of course, there's always going to be some bad actors in there and like cancel everybody for the slightest infraction. But there's a lot of shittiness out there and a lot of people who got away with shit or shit that we just let pass and slide. Well, I really like that person, so I don't care that they're horrible. You know, I really love that art, and I try not to look at, you know, the director who's a rapist. You know, it's like I don't know. I also, I'm the kind of person, and I know that my website and me, we get a lot of grief for this. I can't separate the art from the artist, and I don't think we should. That's my personal choice. I don't know how you as artists feel about it too, because we're all kind of in this together. Also, I get that people feel very defensive and protective, like, oh, you can't cancel my favorite. You know, some of your favorite people ever have been terrible people and done terrible things. So I think it's good that we're not looking away anymore. It's actually a step up as a culture of humanity that we're not willing to let things pass, that we've hit a point. I think it's a good thing. What do you think?
I think so. I do. I feel like, as far as like not being able to separate the art from the artist, like I I mean, I've always kind of been like that. If I like something, I'm like, I want to know everything about the person or the band that made it. You know, I want to like learn all about them. And if I, you know, read something that they say, I'm like, this guy sounds like a douche. I kind of like start to listen to the music with like a different ear. You know, not like I'm gonna cancel somebody because they're a douche, but like, you know, I think that yeah, accountability culture, you know. I don't know.
I wish I could take credit for that saying. It's Alex Winter, the actor and director from Bill and Ted, who was the first person I think coined it on Twitter. And he's like, cancel culture is not canceling; it's accountability. And if you never took any, you're just surprised. Now you're angry and in shock because we never called out anybody. We just kind of sat very passive, and that's okay. You know, it's okay to discover something about somebody. Like, oh man, that person was horrible. And it's okay. We can grow as adults and be like, all right, and how you support somebody. Like, I love this thing all my life, and now I'm not going to support that anymore with my dollars. But it also doesn't take back your fandom from your whole life. Like, you're not bad. Vis-a-vis, you're not a bad person. Just this is what it is. Like, you have to move forward. And but yeah, I love the idea. I love cancel the world, and I love cancel the world as kind of like a catchism. Also, I think it's like super fun and it certainly, you know, we all needed our outlets, our little non sequiturs and our outlets to just get through. The last period of time has been so hard. You are all working musicians. I can't imagine how hard it was for you to sit on this record for over almost 2 years, I guess, over a year and a half at least, and then just kind of sit and not play live much and not do much. How did you guys manage?
Yeah, it sucked. It was rough. Like we had just finished the record. We were, you know, getting really excited for this release, and then the world got canceled. But I think in that first, you know, right when it started, we were like, oh, it's just going to be like a month. And in like that month, I remember thinking like, oh, what if I forget how to play all these songs? And not realizing like the next time we would all be together would be like, you know, a year and a half later.
Right, like no shows.
Yeah.
Because our favorite thing to do is load.
We love carrying heavy gear down like really narrow stairs. And ideally it's raining outside when we do have to load and play a show. So so we missed loading.
We miss loading. Just playing, like, I mean, that's live. Playing live is like, I don't know, that's always been our, that's like where we kind of, that's where it happens, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's the weird magic of being in a band, is you have no idea and you just have to have total trust in each other. And it's like, it's strange, and it's magical. So it was just totally missing, and kind of started to have like a weird identity crisis, because you're like, I don't know, you don't have, like, there wasn't even that, like, so we got any shows coming up? You're like, no. Like, what am I doing with my life? I have no idea.
Yeah, I also like realized how much how many different aspects of my life, like playing in a band, fulfilled. Like, it's like my social life, these are my friends. It's this creative outlet, it's a stress relief. Like, when I'm playing, it's the only thing I'm thinking about. And so suddenly all of that release and that energy that you get from it just like vanished.
Yeah, it's kind of like the only time I don't know, for me, is like when I'm not thinking about anything else, just like playing. It's like, that's like mindfulness to me. And to not have that for a really long time sucked.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And of course, most musicians make money by handing merch over a table to people. And as I'm fond of saying, I feel like I've coined the expression "yelling at people in front of a room with in front of an electric stick," and yelling at people with speakers. And you don't get that connection. Live music. Albums are awesome, and I love this new album. But obviously, yeah, making music live, doing what you do collaboratively in front of people, it's kind of part of who we are and what we do. It's been a really hard. I'm sure it was hard just as fans also not to be able to have that social aspect. It's so hard. Everybody's social life is kind of revolved around what's the show this week, or what are we doing this weekend, or the mini tour, or anything. So yeah, it's so hard. And I'm sensitive to that. I hope like all your people are in one piece and you didn't lose anybody, and people lost jobs and lives. And I know first world problems cancel the world, right? Like, oh, I can't go to shows. There were a lot of worse things, but I do hope you're all right.
Yeah.
We call those yacht problems.
Yes, yes, Yacht Problems. It's so many good titles. Suicide Space Camp, God Hospital. So many evocative themes and things. So topical. Did you worry that maybe the year would go by and these things wouldn't be as topical anymore, or did you, like, you've lived with the music and then you're like, okay, the album's done and here it is, but also now you're like, it's usually not, it's not unusual that you would sit with it so long without having other people hear it, other than maybe your inner circle. So did you have any like regret, like second thoughts, or like, oh man, I wish we could go back in and do that, or too bad it's all done, I have a new idea that we could put out now? Any of those boomerang feelings?
A little bit of boomerang feelings, because I was like, man, it sort of feels like a reactionary record, but it wasn't. It was like made before all of it happened, so it was kind of like, and I also worried that if we waited any longer to put it out, that it would almost be like too late. It had to be exactly what it was, But it's definitely probably been a double LP at this point.
Right. And I'm sure in the meantime you continue to make, write. I don't know how, you guys work, but maybe you continue to compile ideas for the next whatever thing. But in the meantime, we have this, which is awesome. But it's weird. We're all living in our own time capsule. I don't think people were into scrapbooking and time capsules before now, but we really are going to be creatures of this, vibe in the future, where we look back at this period of time. It's not just a bunch of memes, but we are going to pull like a mask out of our pocket in like 10 years and be like, oh, remember that terrible couple of years? Oh, mask, look at that. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I always think about like my grandparents lived through a lot harder stuff than this, and we're just
Oh,
weak. We're just soft. We're just sad and soft, and we need our Starbucks. We need our avocado toast and our yacht problems, right? And so we're just weak. We're just not as tough as we used to be.
in the pool problems.
Exactly, exactly. I do. I will also say, I know you guys recorded Electric Audio, which is like a humongous deal. And even though you veterans and have done some very cool things across your whole careers, that's got to be pretty special.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was a dream come true for me. Like I've always wanted to go there. Yeah, it was just an amazing experience to be there. It sounded so good.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's awesome. It rules. I don't know what else to say, like to just be able to kind of like be there and not live, but like kind of exist in that space and try to make it happen. I don't know. Recording is always kind of stressful, and you definitely get in this like mind warpy zone. It's I don't know the engineer that we work with. His name is Gregoire, and he always says your brain is bullshit because you can tell when you start to go down those like avenues where you're gonna end up spending like 3 hours on some little like fixing one little thing, where maybe you should just try to do a whole nother take, instead of like trying to edit like one drum fill or whatever, because you can really spin out super fast. But I don't know, having and recording the tape, it's awesome. Electrical.
Nice. How about you, Alex? Any feelings like any ghosts in the room or any special feelings about that building or that space to work
I
in?
mean, electrical is great. Honestly, a lot of what made it great for me was working with Gregoire because he's just an amazing engineer. And like what Angela was saying with his philosophy about your brain is bullshit rings very true to me. And working with him, he's just really good at sort of balancing that engineer slash producer role. And he was really good at just like listening to everything we wanted to do, but also guiding us in certain ways that he thought could be really helpful. So that was great. And the space is magical.
Yeah.
Nice. That's what everyone says. I was going to say at this point, though, you also would have to have a hand in almost producing yourselves a little bit because you have been around the block. This is not your first rodeo, as the expression goes, and you've made some stellar records before. Like I said, I was a fan of some of your other works. So like it's. I think there's a cool give and take if you find the right person that understands how to write a song, and don't you just need a separate set of ears outside the band, a little more than you need coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he was really good at like helping us stay true to the vision, but like reining it in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, he's like hands on without being super like control, like as far as it gets, like maybe you could do better,
Yeah.
that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I have a really bad French accent, but
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's also incredibly patient, which we really
Yeah.
insanely patient.
Yeah. It took us a while.
Yeah. Well,
Right
like,
on. Nice. And any unusual or special or new gear brought out for this album, or is it just your standard stuff you guys usually you go to your tried and your trues for an album like this, or do you maybe you experiment and try different things?
we well, we did record, like we each were using like 2 amps at once and like miking them up. So we had like different tones to choose from with like the same performance, which we would not really ever do, but that came in handy, and not having to like overdub a ton of guitar tracks, but just having like different tones to choose from. What else? Alex played some Mellotron. That's definitely not something we would ever do live.
12-string acoustic is definitely not a live thing that happens.
And we brought in like a whole little other studio. So at Electrical, they have Studio A and Studio B. And then we brought in
Studio C.
Studio C, basically.
Studio C minus.
Studio C minus, where we had just like a computer, and then we would have the tracks that like just bounced, and then I like could practice vocal stuff in there and do like rough takes to just so kind of so we could be working on ideas as other things were being recorded. So
Nice, nice. I would imagine just for you, uh, vocally, it's got to be, like you have such a cool and distinct and unique voice. It's gotta be really cool to sing with yourself, but also hard for anybody to double you. So maybe, I don't know if that's a factor with this band like it was in the last one, but I don't know if you want to speak to that or not.
like double me.
But like live, if you were doing some of these things live where there's other, a second vocal line that which one do you choose to sing? What's the track that represents the lead vocal as opposed to that's a harmony or that's a sub,
Yeah,
a sub track?
definitely kind of run into that sometimes where it's like a line will sort of go over into the next part, and then you gotta like the timing's all weird, so you gotta like kind of pick and choose what and then especially in the song Cancel the World, like we did a lot of like background vocals that we didn't do really any of. I don't think we did any on the last record. So we're gonna have to set up some mics live, and get these guys singing some things for sure this time around.
You might be surprised. I think that's a song that could end up being kind of a sing along with the audience because it's so weirdly, you know, it's got so catchy, but it's dark, and I think people love stuff like that. So I have a feeling that's going to be one of the ones that takes off a little bit with your audience.
So when the first night, it was a very very late night at the Space when we came up with the Cancel the World idea, and it was originally was going to be a musical, and at the end there'd be like a whole like kids choir that comes out and it goes cancel the world, cancel the world. So if we can have anybody's like any kind of singing along, I think it'd be great.
Yeah,
like We Are the World, except Cancel the World. I'm with it. I'm fully with it. You need like a Cyndi Lauper, and you need like a Springsteen with a jaw. If you know the video. And speaking of aging myself badly, another thing that I really love is the album artwork, and even the single artwork had this amazing. I don't know if this was kind of on purpose, but it really looks like an old school photo or autograph book, and really reminded me of like my like for weirdly back to like my junior high school graduation where you would go around and get everybody's autograph and they write mean stuff to you or not. And it's got that like pleather look to it. So I don't know. It's like in a weird way with the stamp and everything, it does feel like, oh, this is very an official statement on these recent times because like, here's a book version. Like here's a thing.
Totally. We were like going for like that like Encyclopedia Britannica old dictionary. Actually, like the artwork I did, like I took a picture of an old dictionary and I used that like color and texture sort of as the cover basically. But yeah, it's a tome.
A tome. It has all the secrets within the Ghoulopedia.
Yes, I saw that on Bandcamp. You refer to it as the Ghoulopedia, which I have to doff my other imaginary hat to. And yeah, very funny and clever. I like it. And it's just like I said, it's just a strange time in the world. I'm so glad this album is here. It's like a very good exclamation point on this whole 2021, and it's not at a date or at a time. Obviously, things are in flux. We got a new variant. There'll be a new variant after a variant. I don't know how things are in your fair city. I always think of Chicago as one of the capital cities for music in America. What's kind of the tenor of the town right now in terms of live shows? I know there are some tours happening still, but local music's important to me everywhere. So I'm wondering, and that's important if you can be a famous local band, but you're also you concerned with like what's going on in your scene? What's happening out there right now? Does it look like things are staying open, or something? We losing some venues?
Yeah, it's like, trickling back in, I think.
I've only been to like a few shows since all this stuff, and since things kind of opened back up. I got to go see Metallica though. That was pretty awesome. Not a local band, but they played at the Metro, and that's like kind of
Yeah.
yeah. But people are playing shows. Like we're really excited to play our first show back on New Year's, and I mean, for a while it was really scary. We have a ton of friends that work at venues or booking agents, and like I don't know what's gonna happen. They had the whole like save our stages thing, and I mean, it was freaky there for a while, but I feel like it's gonna bounce back, and I mean, people are so hungry for that experience.
Yeah.
Just hanging out and being blasted, their ears blasted out. I know I miss it.
Right? Don't you miss those? We'll rethink everything. I like to say I'm never gonna pass up a show or think lightly of a show ever again. Like, nah, I'll go somewhere tomorrow. I think I'm gonna take it. I always am very serious about my music, but I'll never take a show for granted again. I saw Metallica in San Francisco in a tiny show, so we're twinsies in that regard. Um, I was still, my mind is still blown that happened, and I'll give it up to them, even though they're like the biggest band or whatever that there is, and they're their own thing. I like that they were like, we have to like play after like 2 years. We haven't played a show. They were like, we haven't played a show since our big arena show, their last one, and they were like, I guess we have to go warm up at a small place. And I thought it was a fun for fans and a fun nod for themselves.
It was very sweet, like sweet, like oh sweet, like, and it was sweet.
Nice. So probably a little bit before you guys can actually do like a proper tour, but it sounds like you got the New Year's show. That's awesome, and we'll help promote all that if we can. And that's really great. Speaking of New Year's, as we like to do at the end of the year, people are very into lists. So even if it wasn't like a 2021 release, what music have you been, or anything, have you been enjoying this year that's been kind of keeping you going?
Oh man, let's see what's on my playlist.
Alex, you're the most hungry music listener out of us. You're always playing some new shit.
To pull up Spotify to remind myself.
What's on your Spotify Wrapped, everybody? Let's find out.
Apparently I listened to Wu-Tang Clan a lot. That was my number one. But in terms of lesser known band, that's apparently my number one. This band Bad Bad Not Good. They're pretty great. Their album from like 2017, I really like a lot. Listen to a lot of Broncho. They have 2 really great albums. Can't think of anything else right now.
I'm gonna go see Facts and Mets at the Metro next week. So pretty excited about those records.
I just like new bands. I don't know. Like I'm so like I just like this past year for some reason I got really into old Aerosmith. I don't know. I'm like tapping into my like classic rock roots, I guess, apparently, which is like lame, but I love it.
Some Phil Collins.
I like Genesis.
Angela only listens to 97.1 The Drive, actually.
I only listen to The Drive, but now since I'm older and wiser, I like The Loop.
Chicagoland people, help me out on these references, but I have a feeling I know what these stations are without knowing what they are.
The station where you get the lead out.
Yes, mandatory morning Zeppelin with that voice. I'm all for early Aerosmith and any Genesis anytime. I'm really bummed I didn't get to see that last. This is apparently their last tour. They're wrapping it up now. On one hand, it's like I don't want to. I remember I saw Phil solo and Genesis back in the day, so I want to remember him like awesome and healthy and smiling and goofing around and not sitting in the chair feeling bad and not feeling well. That makes me sad. But also, I'm glad they got to do this tour because like they were never gonna come back together apparently. Also, shout out to Mets. I know they've been having a hard time. They got their stuff robbed. Everybody that goes to those shows, please buy all their stuff from them. Please help support them. Even if they get, like this is please when you go tour, have somebody watch your van or your car, because like this is obviously you're a target in general, and these are desperate times. So you're unfortunately. But I said to somebody else, they're like, "Oh, they got like $50,000." I'm like, that doesn't replace your guitar that you had all your life, that you wrote all your songs on. The feeling of getting robbed, especially after this last couple of years where life robbed you of time and money and opportunities to make money. Just because the GoFundMe is successful doesn't mean that it's all better. Money doesn't always make it all better. I know it does, especially in the case of loss of gear. But just support Mets. Great band from Canada, phenomenal pop punk band. I'm all about it. And yeah, those are some good picks. Listen, you never go wrong with some new bands. You never go wrong with some old school bands.
I learned a lot about myself by
You never go wrong with the Zep.
Aerosmith. Am I?
Right. There you go. I think what you find out the more you listen to early Aerosmith is how terrible their later stuff is, which is surprising because I used to love it. And I was like at those shows in the 90s, like, oh my God, this is great. No, it isn't. Not when you listen to Draw the Line, it isn't. It isn't. No. It's like, no, this is bad.
Rock's my record.
Nice. Nice. That's the record I think Slash also learned to play guitar again, or like that was the thing that made him want to pick up a guitar. So very good choice. Good choices all around. I wish you guys the best. This record's killer, and really what we need right now. It's like a slap in the face a little bit, like a soft slap in the face, but a slap in the face nonetheless. And I really appreciate you all, and I wish you like health and success and safety in these crazy times. And yeah, we're looking forward to whatever is going to come next after this period of time too.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.